Hello everyone. Am I audible? Hi Mohammad Tala. Hi Satyam Naik. Okay, so in this video, we will just revise the chapter The First War of Independence 1857. As you know, you have the next paper, it is history. Tomorrow it's commerce, but after that it's history, right? So we don't teach commerce, but this is of this channel is for science students, so they can be here. Yes, Mohammed, we do take the other subjects as well, so you don't have time to read the whole chapter. So here, Satyam, hi. Okay, so we will start. First I will introduce you. The British came to India as traders. They established the East India Company in 1600 AD. The Battle of Plassey in 1757 consolidated their rule in India, and this led to increase in their territorial power. From 1757 to 1857, the British conquest and rapid expansion firmly established their dominion in India. British rule was accompanied by resentment among the Indians. People did revolt against the British, but these rebellions were local, scattered, and isolated. So they did not pose a serious challenge to the British rule. Their rule was characterized by expansionist policies, economic exploitation, leading to drain of wealth, administrative changes, and religious interference. This led to widespread discontent and popular revolts. The revolt of 1857 was an expression of anger, subjugation, and harassment in which millions of peasants, artisans, and soldiers participated. It shook the British government to its very foundation. So, we will start with the causes of the First War of Independence. The first 100 years of British rule in India, that is from 1757 to 1857, were marked by British conquest and rapid expansion of their dominion in India. The combined effect of British expansionist policies, economic exploitation, and administrative changes adversely affected all segments of Indian society. The ruling classes were dispossessed of their power. The peasantry was deprived of its land rights. The artisans lost their livelihood. The middle and upper classes of Indian society were annoyed because of their exclusion from the well-paid higher posts in the administration. Priests and scholars found themselves without income as they lost their patrons. The Indian rulers, princes, and zamindars who had themselves lost their authority. Indian soldiers were discontented with their low pay, hard life, and the ill treatment meted out to them by the British officers. Now, coming to the political causes, the first was policy of expansion. The British policy of effective control and gradual extinction of the native Indian states was one of the major grievances of the Indian rulers. The British tried to expand their political power in India by adopting four ways. A. By outright wars. This was to expand their territorial power in India and to safeguard their economic and political interests. The British waged many wars. The Battle of Plassey, that is in 1757, established the British as masters of Bengal and Bihar. After the Third Anglo-Maratha War, 1817 to 1818, the Peshwa's entire dominions and all Maratha territory north and south of the Narmada River were acquired by the British. The Punjab was annexed in 1849 after the Sikhs were defeated in the Second Anglo-Sikh War. The second policy of expansion was by subsidiary alliance. Some Indian states were brought under the British control by following the subsidiary alliance introduced by Lord Wellesley. By 1856, practically all the Indian states had either been annexed or had entered into alliances with the company. The British had become the supreme power and the Indian princes were reduced to puppets. The third policy of expansion was using doctrine of lapse. Lord Dalhousie, the Governor General of India, annexed many Indian states using the doctrine of lapse. According to this doctrine, heirs adopted without the consent of the company could inherit only the private property of the deceased ruler and not his territory, which would come under the company's rule. The prominent states which became victims to the doctrine were Satara, Jhansi, Jaipur, Sambalpur, Udaipur and Nagpur. Regal titles were taken away, which caused discontent among the rulers as well as among the people in general. The fourth political expansion policy was on the pretext of alleged misrule. Lord Dalhousie annexed Awadh on the pretext of alleged misrule. The people of Awadh had to pay higher land revenue and additional taxes, increasing their hardships. The dissolution of the army and administration threw thousands of nobles, officials and soldiers out of jobs. Thus, Awadh played a major role in the uprising of 1857. Second political cause was the disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah. Lord Dalhousie announced that successor of Bahadur Shah Zafar would not be permitted to use the Red Fort. His successors would not be allowed to use the imperial titles with their names. This decision of the British hurt the feelings of the Muslims. The third political cause of the revolt of 1857 was treatment given to Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmi Bai. Nana Sahib, the adopted son of Bajirao II, was refused the pension they were paying to Bajirao II. This was widely resented in the Maratha region. Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi, who became the victim of the doctrine of lapse, became a bitter enemy of the British. Hi Ankita, आप सारे सब्जेक्ट कर दो आज ही. ओके, आई विल श्योरली ट्राई. आज हम लोग हिस्ट्री के सब टॉपिक्स कंप्लीट करते हैं and if possible we will solve MCQs today, or from tomorrow we will practice history MCQs. Ankita, I think there is a issue from your side here, because I have kept my volume at the full level, so I can't increase it more. Okay, then too I will try Muhammad Tala and Ankita. Now is it audible? ओके आप सबके एक बार समरी बता दो. सो टुडे आज का जो सेशन है, नहीं तो आज जो सेशंस होंगे उसमें हिस्ट्री के सब टॉपिक्स मैं कवर करूँगी और उसके जो मेन पॉइंट्स है वो हम लोग करेंगे. ओके सो हम लोग आगे जाए. So the fourth political causes of the revolt of 1857. It's absentee sovereigntyship of the British. It means that India was being ruled by the British government from England. Earlier rulers, like the Mughals, had settled in India, and the revenues they collected from the Indians were spent in this country only. But the British drained India's wealth to England and not utilized for their welfare. Muhammad Tala, I will surely try. If possible, I will surely put it. But please listen to this session now. And if you have any doubts, you may listen this video again, so it will be helpful. Actually, I was not ready with my PPT, so I have not displayed the PPT right now. So I'm just reading it out. I'm sorry for that. Okay, we will move on. Superior to Indians and followed a policy of contempt towards the Indians. They drew Okay, Muhammad Tala. They dubbed the Muslims as cruel and unfaithful. Some European officers ill-treated and insulted Indians. Such acts of unjust discrimination alienated the British from the Indian masses. Fourth was the oppression of the poor. The complex judicial system was enabled the rich to oppress the poor. Flogging, torture and imprisonment were common. The growing poverty led them to join the revolt. Fifth was activities of missionaries. The British condemned the Hindu and Muslim customs, religious beliefs, Hindu gods and Muslim prophets. They began to convert the Indians to Christianity by offering them jobs, rewards and promotions. Instructions in Christianity began to be given in schools and jails. The government supported the activities of the missionaries and maintained Christian priests in the army. Sixth was the fears regarding Western education. The British introduced Western education and established schools. It reduced the importance of Pandits and Maulavis who had been running traditional education institutions. The shifting from Oriental or traditional learning to Western education was not appreciated. Coming to point 7, taxing religious places. The government imposed property tax on temples, mosques and charitable institutions. Such lands had been exempted from taxation by previous Indian rulers. Coming to point number 8 was the law of property. In 1850, Lord Dalhousie passed the law of property which entitled the person converted to Christianity to inherit his ancestral property. This hurt the feelings of the people. Coming to the economic causes, in which we have the first is exploitation of economic resources. First, agricultural India was made an economic colony to serve the interests of industrial England. India was forced to export at cheaper rates raw materials like raw cotton and raw silk that the British industries needed urgently. Plantation producers like indigo and tea and food grains which were in short supply in Britain. India was made to accept ready-made British goods either duty-free or at nominal duty rates, while Indian products were subjected to high import duties in England. The Indian handmade goods were unable to complete. Yes, Ankita. Yes, Mohammed. I'll surely complete. I'll try to complete everything. The Indian handmade goods were unable to compete with the cheaper machine-made British products. This ruined the Indian industry, deprived the artisans of their income, and reduced the avenues of employment for labor. On the other hand, export of raw materials and food grains deprived India of an agricultural surplus and raised the prices of raw materials. Thus, the change in the nature of India's trade became an instrument for exploiting India's resources. Second, coming to drain of wealth. Till the Battle of Plassey 1757, the European traders used to bring gold. After the conquest of Bengal, the British stopped getting gold into India. They began to purchase raw materials for their industries in England from the surplus revenues of Bengal and profits from duty-free inland trade. Thus began the process of plundering India's raw materials, resources and wealth by Britain. The transfer of wealth from India to England, for which India got no proportionate economic return, is called the drain of wealth. The drain included the salaries, incomes and savings of Englishmen, the British expenditure in India on the purchase of military goods, office establishment, interest on debts, unnecessary expenditure on the army, etc. The third economic cause was decay of cottage industries and handicrafts. Heavy duties on Indian cotton and silk textiles led to collapse of cottage industries. Thousands of artisans became unemployed, with the art of spinning and weaving becoming extinct. Disappearance of traditional patrons and buyers like princes, zamindars, etc. affected the cottage industries. Fourth is growing unemployment. British did not support traditional scholars, preachers and artists, leading to unemployment. Annexation of native states led to the unemployment of thousands of soldiers, administrators, military and judicial post holders, increasing the discontent. Educated Indians were excluded from high posts. Coming to the fifth point, poverty and famines. The economic exploitation, decay of indigenous and traditional industries, high taxation, stagnation of agriculture and drain of wealth reduced the Indians to extreme poverty. Severe famines due to drought and other natural calamities, as well as bad administration, forced the people to revolt. Sixth point is economic decline of peasantry. The peasants were discontent with the official land revenue policy and the consequent loss of their land. For example, in Bengal, the land revenue was double and not even a part of this revenue was spent on the development of agriculture or on the welfare of the cultivator. The economic decline of the peasants affected cultivation and led to many famines. peasants were forced to cultivate only indigo in the fields chosen by the British planters, and if they planted anything else, their crops were destroyed and their cattle were carried off as punishment. Coming to the military causes, first is ill treatment of Indian soldiers. Indian soldiers, in comparison with British soldiers, were poorly paid, ill-fed and badly housed. Indians were forbidden from wearing turban, maintain beards, and could not wear caste or sectarian marks, thus disregarding the sentiments. Second military cause was the General Service Enlistment Act of 1856. According to this act, passed in 1856, the Indian soldiers could be sent to fight overseas on duty. The sepoys thought it was contrary to their religious beliefs and revolted against British. Coming to the third point, larger numerical strength. The number of Indian soldiers was 5 times that of the British troops. 2,38,000 Indian soldiers and 45,322 British soldiers. It encouraged the Indian soldiers to take up arms against the English. Fourth point is faulty distribution of troops. Places of strategic importance like Delhi and Allahabad had no British armies. Indian soldiers had the feeling that the British were in difficulty and the safety of her Indian empire depended on them. Point number 5. Lower salaries and bleak prospects of promotion. All higher positions in employment were reserved for the British irrespective of their performance. Indian soldiers could not rise above the rank of a subedar. The future soldiers was bleak without chances of promotions. The wages of the Indian soldiers were inadequate. The British soldiers received more than 8 times the salary of the Indian soldiers. Coming to the immediate causes, in 1856, the British authorities decided to replace the Brown Bess by the new Enfield rifle. The loading process involved bringing the cartridge to the mouth and biting off the top greased paper with the mouth. In 1857, there was a rumor in the Bengal regiments that the greased cartridge had the fat of cow or pig. Sepoys thought it was a deliberate movement to defile Hindu and Muslim religions, as the cow is sacred to Hindus and the pig is a taboo to Muslims. So both the Hindus and the Muslim soldiers refused to use these cartridges and staged an uprising when they were forced to use them. So we don't have the consequences of the revolt, we only have the causes of the revolt, and we have covered the political, socio-religious, economic, military and the immediate causes. So in a very short period of time we have covered the whole chapter, isn't it? Yes, Ankita. Yes. Yes, Mohammed Tala. Yes, Arushi. Yes, Arya. Yes, I will conduct the next session. We will take the second chapter. Yeah, we will surely solve MCQs. But first, I think you should read the chapter because it will help you to solve the MCQs. Okay. So this will be a quick revision of it. Yes, Ankita, yes. So thank you all. Meet you after a few minutes. Till then, bye-bye.